In recent years, a new force has emerged in the digital public square: cancel culture. It started as a tool to call out powerful figures for wrongdoing, but in the Philippines, it's become something much more complex. Whether you're on Facebook, X, formerly Twitter, TikTok, or YouTube, you're likely to come across Filipinos calling out celebrities, influencers, politicians, even regular people for perceived misdeeds. But what exactly is cancel culture? At its core, it's the act of publicly shaming individuals, often online, in response to behavior considered offensive or unethical. The goal? To cancel them, remove their platform, their influence, and in some cases, even their livelihood. Now, while cancel culture may seem like modern-day justice served by the people, many are asking, has it gone too far? Has it become a substitute for real legal accountability? Or even worse, a digital mob trial without evidence? In the Philippines, where emotions run high and social media is a powerful force, cancel culture often becomes personal. And this raises a very important question. Is cancel culture helping or harming justice in our society? In this video, we'll unpack the layers behind this phenomenon, how it affects Filipino society, and whether it's actually protecting the public or replacing the very systems meant to ensure fairness. Let's define what's at stake. In any democratic society, due process is a legal guarantee. It ensures that anyone accused of wrongdoing gets a fair trial, with evidence presented and a chance to defend themselves. It's not just a legal principle, it's a human right. But cancel culture often skips that step. Instead of evidence and hearings, public opinion becomes judge and jury. Screenshots, clips taken out of context, or even fake news can go viral, leading to destroyed reputations within hours. Take, for example, several public figures in the Philippines who were canceled based on unverified allegations, only to be cleared later by official investigations. But by then, the damage had already been done. They had lost brand deals, jobs, and public trust. This raises a critical issue. Does cancel culture erode trust in formal institutions? When the public feels that legal systems are too slow or corrupt, cancel culture becomes a tempting shortcut. But what are we losing in the process? If justice is decided by trending hashtags instead of courts, the risk of injustice grows, and anyone, even the innocent, could be next. And let's not forget the real human cost behind every viral takedown. Behind the screens and usernames are people, parents, children, students, whose lives are upended, often without warning. Mental health suffers, families are dragged into the spotlight, and some never fully recover from the humiliation. In trying to hold others accountable, we must ask ourselves, are we seeking justice or just the satisfaction of punishing someone? In a society where trust in institutions is fragile, the urge to take justice into our own hands is understandable. But when it's driven by anger instead of evidence, we risk turning our social spaces into emotional courtrooms that leave no room for healing, growth, or redemption. To understand the impact, let's look at a few Filipino cases. When vlogger Pinoy Glamour made controversial statements, the internet came down hard. Apologies were issued, content was deleted, but the reputational damage lingered. Was this cancel culture or accountability? In another example, comedian Alex Gonzaga drew massive backlash for smearing cake on a waiter's face. The incident was caught on video, and despite her apology, people questioned whether her celebrity status gave her a pass, or whether cancel culture helped level the playing field. Then there's the case of Vice President Sara Duterte, who has faced online cancel attempts over controversial education policies. But unlike influencers, politicians operate under different public standards. Should cancel culture hold political leaders accountable, or should that remain the job of elections and formal oversight? What we see in each case is a blurring of lines between public accountability and emotional outrage. The same tool, cancel culture, can be used for justice or for vengeance. And often, what determines the outcome isn't facts or laws. It's who controls the narrative online. This power of narrative, shaped by tweets, shares, and viral videos, can become more influential than any court ruling or official statement. In a country like the Philippines, where social media is deeply woven into daily life, public perception can be formed in minutes and hardened in hours. That's what makes cancel culture so potent and so dangerous. The speed of the internet leaves little time for reflection, empathy, or nuance. A single clip can define a person's entire identity, regardless of context or intent. And for many Filipinos who are just trying to express themselves or learn from their mistakes, that kind of judgment feels less like justice and more like exile. In the Philippines, social media is more than a pastime. It's a national force. With over 85 million active users, platforms like Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok shape public opinion like never before. These platforms amplify voices, but they also amplify anger, misinformation, and outrage. Algorithms reward content that gets clicks and shares, which often means the most emotional, shocking takes rise to the top. So what happens when someone is accused online? The platforms provide the arena, and the audience becomes the executioner. But unlike a court, social media doesn't allow for appeals, rebuttals, or full context. Worse, many of those canceled are never given a chance to explain their side before the internet moves on to the next scandal. That raises a troubling thought. Are we mistaking virality for truth? And are we letting our emotions dictate who deserves punishment without knowing the full story? And the consequences are deeply human. Behind every trending hashtag is a real person, with families, careers, mental health, and dignity on the line. For some, the public shaming leads to anxiety, depression, or even withdrawal from society. The internet may move on, but the scars often remain. In a culture that values haya, shame, and social reputation, the effects can be devastating. When we weaponize social media without discernment, we risk turning a tool for accountability into a machine of humiliation, and that should give us all pause. Despite the dangers, some argue cancel culture has positive effects. In a country where powerful elites often escape legal accountability, cancel culture can feel like a tool to demand justice. Whistleblowers, survivors, and activists have used online platforms to expose abuse, harassment, and corruption. Movements like #HijaAko or Nach Never Forget have raised awareness. These aren't just cancellations, they're calls for deeper change. But it's crucial to distinguish between awareness and judgment. True justice lies in sustained public engagement and real reform. Are we building a culture of accountability or fear? Healthy debate requires the freedom to learn, apologize, and change. Cancel culture, when taken too far, can stifle that growth. If we want justice and progress, we must create spaces for growth. Many Filipino lawyers and legal scholars warn that cancel culture could have unintended consequences. A growing number of people now fear speaking up online, afraid that one misstep could end their careers. Some experts say this creates a culture of fear, not accountability. It promotes silence over learning, especially among public figures and educators who are now overly cautious in expressing opinions. There's also the legal gray area. Can people sue for being canceled? Is online shaming considered defamation, harassment, or free speech? The courts are still catching up with these digital realities. While there have been cases of libel and cyberbullying, there's still no clear law that addresses the unique nature of cancel culture in the Philippines. Until then, we're operating in a digital Wild West, where justice is often determined by speed, not accuracy. And in this Wild West, it's often the most vulnerable. Small creators, ordinary employees, or students who suffer the most. Without access to legal counsel or media platforms to defend themselves, they're left to face a tidal wave of online judgment alone. For them, cancel culture isn't just a reputational risk. It can mean lost scholarships, jobs, or even mental health crises. When the line between justice and bullying blurs, we need to ask, are we protecting the powerless or punishing them further? So what can we, as Filipinos, do differently? First, let's not confuse accountability with cruelty. It's okay to demand answers from public figures, but let's do it with fairness and facts. Second, before sharing or reposting a cancellation, ask, is this verified? Am I spreading justice or just fueling hate? Third, let's empower more people to speak up thoughtfully, not just react angrily. Cancel culture doesn't have to mean erasing people, it can mean educating them. Fourth, we need better digital literacy across all age groups. Understanding context, fact-checking, and healthy discourse should be taught, not just assumed. Finally, let's bring back value to due process, not just in courts, but but in our daily conversations. Everyone deserves a chance to explain, to grow, and if necessary, to make amends. And most importantly, let's not forget our shared humanity. Behind every viral post is a real person, with a family, a future, and the capacity to change. Holding someone accountable doesn't mean we abandon empathy. As a society, we are stronger when we uplift, correct, and educate, not when we cancel with no path to redemption. In the end, real progress comes not from silencing voices, but from opening minds. Cancel culture in the Philippines reflects a deeper truth. People want justice and they want it now. But justice is more than punishing wrongs. It's about building a fair, informed, and compassionate society. The digital world has given ordinary Filipinos a powerful voice. But with that power comes responsibility. Are we building a culture of fairness, or are we cheering for mob justice dressed up as accountability? If cancel culture becomes our default justice system, we risk losing more than we gain. We lose nuance, dialogue, and the belief that people can change. We must ask ourselves, what kind of society do we want to build? One ruled by hashtags, or one grounded in truth, fairness, and the rule of law? At the end of the day, real justice is patient, it listens, it considers, and most importantly, it gives everyone a fair shot. Whether you're a content creator, a student, a teacher, or just an everyday Filipino on social media, this issue affects you. In a world where your reputation can be shattered in seconds, knowing the line between justice and judgment is more important than ever. Let's not allow the noise of outrage to drown out the voice of reason. Be informed, be critical, and always remember the truth deserves its day in court, not just in the comments section.